and welcome to Family Matters. Thank you so much for joining us. On this show, we discuss various issues that affect human relations. And to help me with this, as usual, is Liz and Mike. Welcome.
Thank you, Sunny.
Today, we are discussing blended families. Liz, what is this about?
Blended family simply suggests a family where the two parents, husband and wife, have children from their previous relationships. It usually used to be called step parenting families.
You can also call it a reconstituted family.
Right.
You see, you have this other family, whatever happened to it, and this other family. Now they're coming to form a brand new family.
Yeah.
Yes, which is not an extension of previous families, but this is a new family they are reconstituting.
And how common are these blended families?
It has become so common because you will find that nowadays, because of some people start to have families when they already have their children. Some can just think of adopting a child and they bring that child within the family. It becomes a blended family because this is not their biological child. Sometimes you'll find a young man falls in love with a woman who already has her own children.
Yeah.
That's also a blended family. And at times, both the woman and the man, they have their children from previous families, relationships, and they bring them together to make one family.
Right.
So they are very, very common nowadays. And at times, they come through bereavement, where the other spouse of this, either the wife or the husband, is passed away. And it can also come through divorce. It can also come through deciding not to have children in wedlock, and then after some time you realize, no, I think I now want to settle, I want to have a family.
Right, Mike?
Yes, I'm glad you touched the issue of divorce. I think with the divorce soaring as high as 50% in some civilizations, then blended families becomes the in thing. It becomes very common.
Right. And when people enter into these kind of families, what are some expectations that they, think they'll get into when they do this?
Before I answer that question, Sunny, I also want to give you statistically.
Right.
From America, the general trend is like 45% of marriages break. And while that is happening between nucleus families, it is worse for the blended family because we have 67% of blended families entering into divorce. So this actually becomes a serious challenge. And when that happens, when people now want to make a blended family, they come with expectations, thinking that now I know what made my previous relationship break. Yeah. I'm going to settle it, I'm going to make it, and I will make sure this one is going to be a happy, happy family.
Maybe while you're on that, I should just immediately ask you then, that now you give me stats. What motivated you to say, I think we should discuss blended families, because you don't normally talk about it? What made you say, let's talk about this?
The reason why we should talk about it is because it's a reality.
Right.
It's happening today. We have people who are bereaved and want to move on, because even the Bible says young widows, we should not call them young widows, they must remarry, which suggests by remarrying, they are entering into a blended family.
True.
So we need to talk about it because it affects people in all different areas of life.
Okay, right.
Okay, coming to, did you say misconceptions that or false expectations that people have? And I think one of them is to feel like it's going to be easy.
Right.
I love this guy, I love this lady, and when we become family together, our children are going to relate well, everything. We're going to be a happy family. That can be a fallacy sometimes.
Right. And then, we've got cases where, when you're dating and you both have children, you don't necessarily meet the children every day, so you don't really get to spend a lot of time with them. But when you get married, all of a sudden, the reality sinks in. How do you deal with such...
That's a serious challenge, Sanil, because this is what really causes unnecessary and at times a lot of pain, where the men and the woman come into a relationship and they move on with their lives. Unfortunately, the children within the family, in many times they are left without any information of what's happening. And they are only taken by surprise to see, now we have a woman within our mother's home,
Yeah.
or we have a father, a man, not father, a man always with our mother, what's happening? So as they start questioning that, already they have resentment because they've not been involved when this relationship was coming up. So it becomes a challenge within blended families.
Mike, what's your take on that one?
Yes. I think let's take the scenario of divorce.
Right.
Yes. When the two parents divorce, the husband has time to rework his new relationship. And the wife or mother has a time to also renegotiate a way and find new relationships. But children are not given that opportunity. One, they don't even know why their home fell apart.
Yes.
And number two, they don't even know why they're in a new setup. And like Lisa said, in most cases, children are left out of the equation. It's like children don't have emotions at all.
Right.
They must just accept our parents' marriage fell over.
Right.
And they must just accept we are now in a new relationship. I think sometimes we take too much for granted when it comes to children.
I'm glad that you're bringing children up, because I was about to say now that, right, the two are married, there's children. How do children usually respond to the new step parents, to use that word?
In normal senses,
Yeah.
and it's common and it's practical,
Yeah.
there's resentment.
Right.
Because you are coming where these children were used to be having their own mother and their own father, their nucleus family. And there you are coming, and they may find that what you expect of them, they never used to get that from their mother or from their father. And they are now getting to hear you tell them, do this, do that. You find the children may at many times resent. They feel like you're dethroning their biological parent. Even if it is through death, these children are protective of their father.
Yeah.
I want to tell you that from my own personal experience, when my mom died, my father wanted to remarry.
Yeah.
And the people at that time, we were now all going to church. People from church were even introducing women to my father to say, this is a good woman. They can make you happy. And when my father involved us, that was the type of my father, he would involve us as his children.
Yeah.
We kicked buckets and we said, no, that person wants to come to take your money.
Yeah.
She wants to come here and just take over our mother. You don't need her. We convinced our father that he did not need that woman.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, my father agreed with us because we were saying, Daddy, you're fine the way you are. You're not lacking anything.
Yeah.
Little did we know that it was very selfish of us until such a time when really we realized that our father would have married then, but it was too late for that.
Mike, you have an experience that you'd share?
Yes, I have an experience. My parents broke up when I was 12 years of age, and with 4 siblings and what have you. And when the new mother came in to us, she was an enemy.
Right.
An enemy has come into our lives. And we resisted right from the word go. Father tried to say, call a mom, call a mother, call a what. We just felt like we have nothing in common, and we have what makes it very, very worse is when a child has their biological parent, non-custodial parent, living somewhere, and they are now subjected to a new parent who has come to kind of take over the role of the parent who is still alive and living somewhere else, that it becomes very dicey because you still have your allegiance to your living parent. You still want to relate with them, but then circumstances now force you to relate with this one. Hey, before Christ entered into our brains, we looked at that woman as an enemy. We had nothing to do. We were fighting battles on a daily basis. Wes, I was an adolescent at that point in time. She came at a time when life was just beginning to be seen by me through other eyes, natural rebellion towards authority. And you come in at that developmental stage, it became worse for the two of us to re-engage. It took years.
And then how did you eventually, form a relationship, if ever, did you end up having a relationship, proper one?
Let me say, in the hearing of everybody else, at the end of the day, I ended up having two mothers.
Right.
My mother, who was then living elsewhere and got married elsewhere, plus my stepmother, who was living with us, who sent us to school, did everything for us, and what have you. I tell you, it was a spiritual journey.
Right.
For me, it was more than just a social journey. It was a spiritual journey where I got to a point where I needed to forgive.
Right.
I needed to tolerate, and I needed to accept this woman, and she did the same. And by the time she passed on, we were the best of friends.
Wow.
So I was lucky to have one father and two mothers. But it was a journey to get to that point.
Of course.
Yes.
Now that we've spoken about the stepchildren, now for parents as well, if these are not your biological children, you have to learn new ways as well. Learn them, actually.
Yes.
How is it for a new parent or a new step parent in this kind of scenario?
It is very, very important, Sani, for any parent to fully understand that parenting is difficult, even for your own biological children. And now you are coming into a blended family. It's even double duty.
Right.
You need to be able to understand that not everything these children do is against you or about you, but they also are children who are growing. You must learn the phases of development of children so that you don't just misunderstand everything to say they are rebelling against me.
Yeah.
And as a person yourself, you also need to find out, are you really treating these children out of love? Or you also are displacing your anger from previous relationship upon these children. You know, there are people who come in a relationship with preconceived ideas to say stepchildren are a problem or step-parents are a problem. And already you are blinkered. You don't reason outside that box. Hence, any little mistake is blown out of proportion. So I'm saying, as a parent within a blended family, learn to be objective. Look at things the way they are supposed to be looked at and not just conclude to say this child has behaved this way because of me.
Yeah.
So it is very, very important. And even to the children, they also need to be open-minded to be able to continue respecting this person, even though they are not your biological child. Remember, the Bible says, honor your father and mother. It doesn't only mean your biological.
Right.
People who are elderly, people who are of older age than you, we need to respect them.
Right.
It's not easy, but as you come closer to one another and as you allow Christ to try and put you in unity, you'll be able to say, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength.
Before we go further, let's take a break. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Family Matters. If you've just joined us, we're discussing blended families. Before the break, Mike, we're talking about some challenges that a step-parent may face with children. Can you just shed some more light on that?
Yes. I think one of the challenges is that the parent may be a bit impatient with the situation. You quickly want these children to obey you,
right,
and to be loyal to you, and you have your time frame. And yet these children are still in the resisting phase. They may not see issues the same way as you do. So one thing that we would really advocate is patience on the part of the step-parent. Get to understand that these children are put in a situation not out of their own choice. They don't even know what they're doing. They are angry, they are hating. So if you quickly want to push them forward, fast forward, I think you create more problems. I want to think in the equation, the parent, step-parent, and the step-child. The onus is on the step-parent to operate as a mature person who understands what this child goes. This is why it is very necessary to seek even professional help so that at least both parties understand exactly how to re-engage.
Right.
A lot of people get in this kind of situation without preparation.
Right. Now, on that about preparation, in a normal or rather maybe ideal kind of setup,
Yes.
already there's problems between a married couple.
Yes.
Now, when a family is a blended kind of situation,
Yes.
what challenges can a new couple face just as two individuals, besides having the children, but just as individuals?
It's a challenge because the two parents, if they don't agree as to how they are going to manage and discipline the children within the family, you would find that another parent might feel that you are doing this because they are not your children. And when you start having conflict pertaining to children, it will directly impact on your relationship as a couple. So it is important to know that the two of you must have rules and standards, guidelines that help you manage the conflicts that you are going to face within your family.
Right.
One thing we need to emphasize is a family is unique, and a blended family is a serious, unique family that really needs a lot of patience, like Mike has just said, and a lot of give and take,
Right.
so that you are able to understand one another without continuously inflicting pain on one another.
Right. Mike, as a couple.
Sometimes without you knowing and very unconscious to yourself, there may be favoritism and partiality. You find an ice cream man is passing by.
Yeah.
You buy ice cream for your own biological children.
Yeah.
There's a new dress in the shop, you buy it. And the other guys are just watching this drama going on. And their parent may look at their children being segregated. And they're emotional beings. They'll feel for their children. And they want to act like advocates. They play advocates for their children. Hey, how about if you can do this for both children or for all the children? And this can start a fight. You think I'm careless? You think I don't see? Do I need to be educated by you to know that the children need this and so forth? And then you find people get into a fight. And chances of this kind of marriage, new home, breaking apart, I don't know if there are statistics to that, but I think if this home is not properly challenged, it can also be part of statistics.
Yeah.
It is. Like I have said, that 67% of blended families end up in divorce. So it simply shows that it is a challenge worse than the first marriages, where people are 45%. This is statistics from America. So what is important here is to be able to understand, for example, if a young man wants to marry a woman with her own children, it may look very good because in normal circumstances within the African setting, the man tends to love the wife's children, the wife that he is marrying. But believe you me, the moment this woman conceives and now has his real biological child, there is a tendency of him shifting that love that he used to give to these children to his own. And the mother will be able to note that.
Yeah.
Even the children, they will notice that the love the stepfather used to give us is no longer there. It's now on his own biological.
Yeah.
And it becomes a serious challenge. It happens sometimes unconsciously. That's why we are saying we need to consciously pay attention on how we relate with the family members in a blended family.
Can I add something?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. It's not just the new husband and the new wife.
Right.
It's the siblings. Siblings fight.
Of course.
Siblings push one another. And if you find your child is being pushed by a stepchild, you want to become part of the pain and you want to do something quickly about it. And as you get in, and sometimes you are getting into that fight with a bias, then it triggers the other parent to say, I must also protect my children from your children and more especially from you.
Speaking about families, I know in the Black African context, when you get married,
Yes.
it's not just the two of you, but families getting coming together.
Exactly. Yes.
Now, I know in most cases, sometimes some families may not really be accepting of blended families. How can we better solve this issue?
This is very tricky. This is the traditional way where parents want to be involved in choosing who you have to marry.
Yes.
And I am saying at times it's good to pay attention to that, because when these fights start taking place, you even remind each other that that's why my father didn't like me to marry you.
Yes, true.
We have heard it happening.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to say, if you are strong and you think you really love this person, you have to stand up for them against your people. You who is the husband, or you who is the wife, we have people that are speaking negatively about your spouse. It is your responsibility to protect your spouse. You have to stand up for your spouse and make sure that no one does evil on your spouse. It becomes very difficult, Sunny, if I have to fight with my in-laws.
Of course.
I don't know how much I must do it. But if my spouse, my husband, does it for me, I feel protected and I feel happy that this guy loves me. And if I do the same for him, it protects us. And it also sends a message to our relatives that you cannot interfere in this relationship.
Yeah.
So I think that's the bottom line. Let your love protect one another,
Yes.
and don't allow any outsider to come and destroy you.
Yes.
But having said that, it's important to also listen.
Of course.
Because these same people are the ones we will need when we are in trouble.
Right.
When they are constructive, when they are saying information that builds us, let us sieve the information to say what they've said. I think it makes sense, and humble ourselves and apply it.
Right.
What does not make sense, we decide not to put it in, because a marriage is dynamic. It can never be uniform.
Yes.
What is happening next door can never happen in my house.
Yes.
So when we look at a blended family, the same concepts that we are saying make a nucleus family to be happy should make us also happy, plus the added because of our uniqueness.
Right. Mike, aunts and parents and cousins, how do you deal with them when they say, no, this choice of yours is not a good one?
At the end of the day, marriage is about love.
Right.
Building a new home is about love. I think we need to keep the communication lines open. We need to address the realities. They need to understand my position. I am not marrying for them. Although the extended family is vital and very important in our cultural setting, but at the end of the day, when we get in that bedroom, it's about me and it's about her. And then they're not anywhere near. Our struggles, there'll be unique struggles between the two of us.
Right.
So if you marry a person who is always approved by others and you are marrying them because it is their choice, you run into some difficulties.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if we have, say, young couples who are perhaps considering going into a blended kind of family or relationship, what are some things that they must consider before they enter this marriage?
That's a very good question, Sunny, because this is the reality people ignore from the onset.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important to introspect yourself. Am I the type of a person who is strong in love to take situations that are within the blended family and be able to manage them?
Yeah.
Ask yourselves, am I going to truly love this man and his children, or this woman and his children the way I should do? Let me not talk about loving the children, but am I going to accept them and treat them the way children needs to be treated? Because when we are talking about loving them, sometimes in a blended family, it may be a fallacy, because you may not be able to truly love them, but you can accept them and you can be able to tolerate them so that you live a peaceful life with them. And with time, you become to blend. You can even be able to fully understand one another to an extent that stepchildren may end up without you forcing them, calling you mom from their heart, and they'll be meaning it.
Right. Mike?
What needed to have happened in my life maybe looking back,
Yes.
was I think Dad needed to have either taken us to some people to orient us,
Okay.
to make us understand that parents can divorce and parents can remarry, and you are not to blame for anything that is happening.
Right.
Mike and Moses and what have you, your father is in love,
Right.
and this is what he wants to accomplish. It's going to give you guys some challenges, but this man needs to move on with his life.
Right.
You get the point? Nobody prepares you. All you see is the door opens
Yes.
and another lady comes in. I think let's help the children to resolve the loss of a relationship that was vital to them.
Right.
Because if that loss is not resolved, they're going to interfere in your new relationship.
Yeah.
And having said that,
Yeah.
even the children also, they need to know that their father or their mother have needs that cannot be
course.
fulfilled by
Yeah.
anyone.
Yeah.
And they need to fully understand that much as they love their father or
Yes.
they love their mother, these needs, like sexual needs,
Yeah.
a child cannot fulfill that.
Yes.
So
yes.
when they are made to understand that there are needs they cannot fulfill, it will help them understand, even though they may not accept it, but it will give them that glimpse to know that truly our father or our mother needs these rights
Yeah.
fulfilled, these needs fulfilled.
Right.
It only comes through open communication.
Right.
Unfortunately, within the African traditional way of things, we tend to ignore the children, Sunny.
Yeah.
A lot of times counsel is given to the parents, the wife and the husband, but children are ignored.
Yes.
It's even like in a bereavement setup, people come and mourn and grieve
Yeah.
with the father or the mother, but the children are left as if they have no feelings.
Yeah.
So I am saying this blended family needs to be taken as a family therapy.
Right.
Every family member needs to be given time to understand what's taking place and to be heard what their fears are, what their expectations are, and let them be addressed without blaming or condemning.
Mike, in 5 seconds, your last words.
My last words is that blended families
Yeah.
can still make it
Right.
in this world. Look at Jacob, Joseph, and his brothers. They had their fights, but at the end of the day, they became a mighty nation.
Right.
Blended families can make it. My family, we are making it. We are past that pain. We have healed. We are healing. We are moving forward. We are more productive than
Yes.
we have ever been. It can happen. We
Guys,
can relate well
yes.
again.
Mike and Liz, thank you so much for sharing. I'm sure that our viewers have learned so much from what you've shared, especially from your own experiences. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'm sure that you've learned one or two things. Until next time, God bless.